Good day, I'm Stacey Ann Smith, and this is your GIS News for Tuesday, June 4. Jamaica's export sector grew by 7.7% in January 2013. Total exports for the month increased by $10.9 million over January 2012 to reach $152.1 million.
This resulted in our trade deficit for January 2013 narrowing by US $1.2 million, or 0.3% to US $401 million when compared to the $402.2 million in the corresponding 2012 period.
The Industry, Investment and Commerce Minister made the announcement at the launch of National Exporters Month Monday evening. While commending the increase in the value of exports, Minister Hilton said Jamaica was not yet out of the woods, as our import bill for January also increased. Total imports for January 2013 stood at $553.1 million, $9.7 million more than the corresponding period in 2012. He said the recently completed services strategy and expansion plan would explore new export markets in a number of sectors, including information and communications technology, the creative industries, and medical health and wellness tourism. The plan was crafted by Jamaica Promotions JAMPRO. Meanwhile, the Jamaica Exporters Association JEA is on a drive to get more businesses involved in the trade. Pointing out that the export sector earned more than $1.7 million in 2012, the JEA says the trade could build a future of sustained growth. President Andrew Collins says the industry holds employment opportunities in agro-processing, fresh produce and mining, among other areas.
We must invest more in export development, promotion and growth if we are to eliminate our economic problems.
Mr. Collins was speaking at the organization's Exporters Month church service on the weekend. Throughout June, the JEA is observing National Exporters Month under the theme, Exporting is Everybody's Business. Local entrepreneurs and innovators are set to receive more assistance to grow their businesses by way of the Ministry of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining's Startup Jamaica initiative. Under the program, the ministry will partner with the local universities and the business community to provide coaching and mentoring for entrepreneurs in the areas of technical expertise and business and financial planning.
What we want to do with Startup Jamaica is to provide an environment where that kind of sharing and community can exist, so persons will be able to bounce off ideas from other persons.
Speaking at a post-sectoral debate press briefing last week, the state minister said the initiative was inspired by a similar model in Chile and would be implemented by March 2014. The intention is to get tech entrepreneurs to pitch their ideas to potential investors and network with people with similar interests.
We'll be able to attract Jamaicans in the diaspora who want to come back to Jamaica and to attract those who see Jamaica as a location for this kind of business.
Infrastructure and equipment is to be provided through public-private partnerships. A call has been made for members of the Jamaican diaspora to seize investment opportunities in the second city. The call was made by the State Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Sharon Folks Abrams, during a forum on the upcoming Diaspora Conference. She pointed to investment opportunities in a number of areas, including agriculture, faith-based and health tourism.
I want to see Montego Bay flourish in business. I know that the potential in the diaspora is there, and the will in the diaspora is there, and the money in the diaspora is there. What we need to do is to position ourselves properly, organize it properly, and make sure that the money comes back to Jamaica.
The Jamaica Diaspora Conference will be held from June 16 to 19 at the Montego Bay Convention Center. It's being held under the theme Nation on a Mission, Jamaica Diaspora Partnership for Development. And finally, the National Road Safety Council, NRSC, has stepped up its public education drive aimed at getting motorists and passengers to buckle up while driving. The Council's efforts come against the increase in the number of road fatalities involving both drivers and passengers who are not wearing seatbelts. Driving without a seatbelt is a breach of the Road Traffic Act and attracts a fine of $2,500. But more important, the NRSC's Executive Director, Paula Fletcher, says they are life-enhancing devices that protect both drivers and passengers and can reduce fatalities from a traffic collision by 30 to 40%. The Council's public education thrust will involve radio, television and print advertisements emphasizing the importance of seatbelt use. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Stacey Ann Smith. Thank you for watching.